What is up, Ian's in the basement today doing some Zwift racing. Just got done with my Zwift race. Got whooped on, but I wanted to kind of take an opportunity, since I know everybody's racing right now with coronavirus quarantines, to kind of give everybody some tips for what you can expect when you're expecting to Zwift. So the first thing you need to know before you do any kind of Zwift racing is that you have to remember it's for fun. People's setups are bogus. Now, it's not intentional most of the time. People don't mean it, but there's some bogusness out there. I personally know an A+ racer who is a good rider, but let's just say he's nowhere near an A+ racer. So you just got to know that going into it, and remember, it's for fun. Next thing, pick your course type. If you're a heavier rider, that's not a bad thing. You can really rip on the flat, but you probably don't want to go ripping a mountain course either. So same thing goes if you're a climber. Pick your route, scope your route out, figure out what's going to work in your favor. You're not going to have that fun of a time if you just go and get sloshed on because you picked the wrong course. So if you want to have fun, and that's what it's all about, try to scope out your course. All right, the next thing, and for me this is a huge one, is pick your start type. So what I mean by that is there are what I would call multi-class starts and mask starts. A mask start is going to be where A, B, C, D starts together, sometimes A, B together, C and D together. I try to stay away from those because they are terrible, and they're not that bad for me personally, but I don't like the idea of it, and you may not like the idea if you are a rider that has, let's say, maybe a strong FTP, but you have a low 5-minute power. Because at the beginning of the race, everybody's going gangbusters, and if you can't hold on, then the guys who are B that stuck with the A's are going to be 5-6 miles an hour faster than you are 5 minutes into the race. I like the single class start. The size of your class matters. Toward a Zwift race, stuff like that, where there's, you know, 250 to 500 people in the race, to me that's the equivalent of not training and then showing up at a nationals race. It's just, you're gonna get whacked, and it's just not that fun. Frankly, it's just not fun. That's my opinion. So you want to try to find a race that you're going to have some people to maybe work with. You're going to get in a meaningful break. You're going to be battling some people. You're going to have some understanding of what's going on. If you think about a local race, you know, most of the people, they're small and they're fun because you're battling people. You're in there battling, and that's fun. So now I'm going to get into some tactics. The first tactic is you should warm up. I never do, but you should warm up. You'll probably do better. More importantly, know that the start will be a sweat fest. Just like bears shit in the woods, every Zwift race will start off all out off the start. It's just a given. I've never seen a race where it doesn't happen. Just prepare for it. Just know right away it's gonna suck, and you just have to stick it out. When you're starting, make sure that you take into consideration that your power is a 3-second average. So you don't want to start going 1 second or as soon as the gate drops. You want to be cranking out 400 to 500 watts 3 to 4 seconds before the race starts, so that you get that smoking gun. You want to try to stay with the lead group. I know sometimes it's, you know, it sounds easy, but you should at least go into your race knowing that you want to stay with the lead group. If you can do that, you're going to put yourself in an awesome spot for a podium, and you're also going to have fun. So if you can stick with the lead group, definitely do it. Just remember, while you're suffering for that first like 4-5 minutes, everybody's suffering. Just remember that. Most of the people, everybody's suffering. So you just have to stick it out, just like a real race, and things will level out, groups will separate. I think that's the reason why it happens, because if everybody started off slow, the draft effect in Zwift is so strong that there would never be any separation. So I think it's just a product of necessity. When I say mostly everybody's going to be hurting, what I mean by that is you got to check over to the right side and identify the flyers. There's going to be people that you think maybe you're making a break, and you have to know when to react to that and when not to react to that. Maybe you're just hanging on for dear life and you can't react to that. That's okay too. But there's people that we talked about before that have setups that just aren't right, and we have people who don't enter the right categories. That's why I always recommend checking out ZwiftPower for your results. I don't really pay much attention to the in-game results at the end of the race. I suggest going to zwiftpower.com, and if you haven't already signed up there, link your Zwift ID and make sure you're good to go on that. That's a quote-unquote official result. If you think about it, the whole game is driven off of the stats that you have right in front of you. The whole race is played out on stats you have right in front of you. So use those stats. You should probably pay more attention to what's happening on the right-hand side of your screen in terms of watts per kilogram for each rider than you should watching your avatar. Maybe that's not true because you don't want to fall out of the draft, but you get my drift. No pun intended. One super important thing is to make sure that you surge on the hills. The races are generally separated, and winning breaks are won on the hills. So when you get to a hill, any kind of incline, the shorter, the more it's going to surge, but they will surge, and it's going to be fast. So it helps to know the course if you can make sure that you can get yourself prepared for the hill, and you're going to have to put in a dig every time there's a grade. It's a must. If you're riding with somebody else and it looks like one of the two of you is going to have to close the gap, it will never be the other person. It just seems like it will never be. So trust no one. Try to stay in the middle of the group. Don't try to fall too far to the back, because when that happens, breaks can form too easily. The bigger the group, the worse it is. Try to keep yourself in the middle of the pack. If you find yourself on the front, be very easy in your backing off the power. It's too easy to go flying off the back. And again, you don't want to be on the back, you want to be in the middle. So you see any kind of gap opening whatsoever, it's DEFCON 5. Don't get sticky drafts. That's what happens when you come up on some other riders. Maybe you're lapping them, or it's a group that you've caught up to. You know, if you come up on these riders and you don't power through them, you're gonna get what they call sticky drafted. Your avatar or fake rider, pseudo rider, he's gonna want to try to automatically draft off of the person in front of him, and you almost see him latch onto that slow rider, and if you're not really putting down the power to overtake them, it'll hang on, and just even enough to cause a problem. So be conscious of people in front of you, and when you see them and you're coming up on them, make sure you give it that extra push to get through. 180 turns. For whatever reason, 180 turns, maybe it's just me, but I know it's not. I'm honest with you, and I know what I'm doing. 180 turns. As soon as you reach a 180 turn, before you approach it, actually you want to start surging. You want to surge through the turn, because you'll see that your rider will kind of collapse to the outside of the turn, and for whatever reason he just goes rogue on you, and he just decides he needs 6 feet of separation between him and the group, or her. Anyhow, make sure you push through those turns extra hard. It's kind of like a mini hill. You just got to give it a surge through that 180, so that as he comes around, or she comes around, you're all the way back up on the group. Alright, Ian, so that's going to be it for this racing video with Zwift tips. If you have any comments, suggestions, other tips I didn't mention, be sure to comment them down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, be sure to follow me on Instagram @DumpsterOnWheels. Thanks.